What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to PAULY'S Auto. How you doing today? I'm doing stellar. Just got into work. Got this 2017 Chevy Silverado. Check engine lights on, and the engine has low power. Well, it's a low power complaint. I have no idea what's going on with it, so you're coming live with me, and we'll find out together whether or not this is going to be interesting. I have no idea. We'll see if Snap-on wants to play today. I'm 2017 Chevy Silverado with the 6.2. We've got, what is it, 82,000 miles on the clock. So let's just do a quick code scan, see what is out there. Fuel tank pressure sensor circuit intermittent. I'm not going to bore you with this, guys. I'm just going to let this ping everything and get all the codes, and then we'll get back on the scan tool here. All right, before we get into this, I got something I want to say, and I just got to say this. Flat Rate Master, I seen your video today. How awesome is that? Thank you for the shout out. Also for giving shots out to those other great channels like Voltage Drop Diagnostics, Cody's Diagnostics, good guys. And I can't thank you enough, Mike, for how much that means. And for you guys watching, yes, my quality is not quite there. Trust me. I film with my phone. I'm at work, and I'm doing the best I can, guys. But I got to be productive. So in time, maybe I'll get better at this. I'm obviously not a professional YouTuber. I'm new to this world. So huge thanks to Mike for doing that. That's really awesome and inspiring. And just goes to show, guys, how other older techs out there with more experience than you are willing to go out of their way to help you out if you have a willingness to learn and stuff like that. So anyways, enough of that. Let's kind of go through this and just see what codes we've got. Probably gonna have to take this out on a test drive. Well, not probably, we will. But you can see here we got a fuel tank pressure sensor circuit intermittent. That is not going to be our low power complaint. We have a large leak detected in our EVAP system. We'll keep that in the back of our mind. These Chevys, their purge valves like to fail. So when we take a peek at fuel trims and stuff like that, we'll kind of keep that in the back of our mind. Throttle actuator position performance. Okay, now that one right there is concerning. And another thing, like I had talked about in my CAN bus videos, if you haven't seen them, check them out. But you can see here, test failed since DTC clear, and it's also historical. So that's something we want to keep in the back of our mind. And it looks like, hold on, I'm just thinking, test failed since DTC clear history. Okay. So that's stuff we want to think about, guys, when we're looking at this. You can see in our ABS module, we have a PCM indicated a traction control fault. And my guess is that's probably going to be related to the throttle actuator code, but I could be wrong. Human machine interface, entertainment module, whatever you want to call it. Front video display output signal. Actually, that's for our assisted driver system. That is interesting because now my service manager, right before he handed me this ticket, said that he noticed the what the hell am I trying to say? One of the sensors up front on the bumper. He's not sure which one, but the little warning on the display right there was saying that he had an issue, that an object was being detected, and he went out and wiped off the sensors, and then it went away. So that I'm not going to touch on in this video because it's kind of a whole separate issue. However, because the customer never complained about this, it's something that was just noticed, and you'll have that. So we'll mention it to the customer, see if it's been happening, if he's been having that warning, show up on his display here. I'm not sure if it shows up there or there, to be honest with you, but doesn't matter. We'll mention it to the customer, see if they want to look into it. If they do, great. If not, we'll catch it on the next one. But right now we're worried about low power, we're worried about a check engine light, and we have 3 codes that we're concerned about. So moving on. Power steering module, we got a voltage code, low voltage but low threshold. That's historical. Radio, low voltage. Now that radio one I'm kind of concerned about, because if we do end up looking at this front display output signal code, that might be a factor. So what we need to do is, what I do is I'm going to be documenting all these. So before we do that, what I want to do is get some data up, some key data that I want to look at, and I want to go take this thing for a test drive. Now, before I take it out and drive it, I'm just going to look at it at idle in the shop here, see what the fuel trims look like, see what the mass airflow looks like, kind of get an overview of what everything is reading, what everything is doing before I, you know, waste the time and go drive it. I'm not really wasting time. Either way, I got to drive this thing because I got to get it to duplicate, but that's what I'm going to do first. So next step, go into engine and get the data display up, and let's take a look at some fuel trim data. All right, guys, so I'm in engine. What I want to look at is my data display. And actually, you know what? Before we do that, let's take a look at something here. I want to look at that P2101 for that throttle actuator code, and I want to see some information on that. They're not giving it to me in troubleshooter. I'm not sure why. Usually the troubleshooter is in here. We could take a peek at freeze frame while we're in here, so let's just do that. That way at least we know when these codes are setting. Oh boy, we'll see how slow the scan tool wants to be today. I just had Snap-on look at it. I was having issues with it. Big surprise. All right, so this one here is for the P0454, which is that EVAP code, large leak. So we'll kind of take a peek at that just to see. 179 degrees. And what else here? Long-term trims. Okay. Bank 1 and 2 are reading a little rich. Short terms are hovering right around 0, so I'm not too concerned about the fuel trims. And that kind of, however, that kind of tells me maybe I need to look at my purge valve, because my purge valve is stuck open for any reason. It could very potentially cause the fuel trims to go negative. Now, normally it'll be like a vacuum leak, but obviously we're going to be smoking this EVAP system and checking it, and looking at that fuel tank pressure sensor. That's going to be the big one, because, you know, if that's off, we can throw EVAP large leak codes. So, all right, hold on. I'm going to go in and find the other code. All right, I was having trouble finding my freeze frame data for the other codes, naturally. I don't know what's going on with this Verus, but anyways, doesn't matter. I'm not worried about it. We're just going to go into fuel trim data. I want to see what these fuel trims look like at idle, just to see the overall health of this engine. So let me limit this up. All right, I'll show you how to limit it up in case some of you guys are new to this and don't know how. When you're in your data display, now obviously I've got a lot of options here. So I want to go to fuel trim data. I want to go to custom, and this is going to help speed up the data, guys. Deselect all, short-term bank 2, long-term bank 2, short-term bank 1, long-term bank 1. Now I want to look at that throttle actuator information, or, you know, throttle position and all that. So I'm going to look and see if I can kill two birds with one stone. I do want to know what the temp is. I do want to know what my mass airflow is reading for grams per second. There we go. Throttle position, percentage. Just going to kind of keep looking through here. Fuel volatility, alcohol. Yes, I do want to know what the alcohol content is. All right, that should be good. Let's go to graph view. All right, let's take a look at that fuel composition or alcohol content. Okay, 10%, not too worried about it. Throttle position. Now there you go, right there. I've got key on, engine off, 30%. All right, so let's keep that in mind. Let's see what the trims are at before we start it. You can see they're already, the engine's already prepared to cut fuel in the long term on both banks, okay? We're at 113 degrees right now. So let's start this thing up. Let me go throw a hose on it. All right, fans fired up. Let's fire this thing up. You can see our throttle position drop down to 13, 15. Mass airflow is reading high, but remember, engine's not warmed up yet, guys. You can see our short-term trims. I notice I can feel that this thing is running a little rough. Almost feels like a misfire, to be honest with you. But let's let it warm up. You can see these short terms are at, going positive, and they're countering the long term. So it tells me that, the delivery of fuel and the control is all there. Everything looks good. I'm not too worried about it, guys. Throttle position percentage at 10%. So let me let this warm up. Just gonna let it warm up, get up to temp, and I'll get you back. All right, so we're up to temp. Well, not completely, but we're at 163 degrees, guys. Everything's kind of stabilizing. 7% on our throttle position, and we're just under 6 grams per second on our mass airflow. Now, I'm kind of concerned with the mass airflow at this point, but I'm not, I'm not looking into it too heavily. Trims look pretty good at idle. I do notice that this thing's got a stumble at idle, and it feels like a misfire. So I'm gonna keep that in the back of my mind. Let's bring up the RPMs to about 3 grand. And you can see we've got a rich condition once we start bringing up the RPMs. But it's not, it's not horrible. But it's something to keep in our mind right now. So I'm just holding it. Now the other thing I noticed, so you can see I'm holding steady at 24% on my throttle. Now I'm going to let off. Let it stabilize. Let's try a snap. I'll try one more snap. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but let's take a look at this mass airflow a little closer. All right, so I've got just the mass airflow up, and you can see I'm reading low, 5.6. That's a little lower than I'd like to see it. Let's try giving this thing a snap and see what we get. Why is snap-on? Hold on a second. All right, I didn't have my scale on, so let's try this again. We're hitting 107 grams per second on a snap. Let's try it again. And you can see we're reading really low on this mass airflow. I really don't like that. There, it hit 124. So already I'm kind of suspicious of this mass airflow, but that doesn't explain the 2101 for the throttle actuator. So next thing I want to do is I'm just going to do a quick throttle sweep and kind of look at that. Okay, I've got the engine shut down. I'm back out at all my menus. I'm going to go into throttle actuator control data. And again, I'm going to limit this up, and what I'm going to get up here is what I want. I want accelerator. I'm going to probably put that up there, but I'm just going to limit this, guys, so that it's easier for us to look at. All right, you can see I got throttle position sensor 2 percentage with its voltage, throttle position sensor 1 percentage with its voltage, and the calculated percentage up on the screen. So right now I've got my foot key on, engine off. I've got my foot getting ready to depress the accelerator pedal. I'm going to slowly depress it all the way to 100%. So here we go. We're just looking. There, I'm to the floor right there. And I don't know if you're seeing that, but I'm only at 38%. Now, sometimes they only let you go so much on these when you have key on, engine off. I'm not quite sure yet, but we're just gonna slowly let off. I'm slowly letting off right now, guys, and there's absolutely no changes occurring on the screen. None. There you go. So that took a long time for that to register. Long time. Holy cow. All right, so clearly we have an issue. Most likely we probably have worn, well, not most likely, we could have a worn throttle position sensors. The contacts in there could just be getting worn. But I definitely do not like the delay. So now I'm hitting it again. Yeah, look at them voltages. There's really no change after I go. Now, I'm not sure if the computer is doing this, you know, limiting its ability because of the code. I have no idea, guys. Just doing a preliminary here. Letting it off slow. Letting it off slow. Holy cow, I'm almost all the way released. There we go. Okay. All right, so, you know, I don't think a test drive is even warranted at this point because, well, you know what? No, I'm going to go take it for a test drive. I just want to make sure I know what the customer's feeling so I know what the issue is, and we'll go from there. But we're going to be checking these voltages at the throttle actuator. So this will be a pretty cool one. Let's go take this thing for a spin, huh? Quick note before we take this out and drive it. I'm going to clear the codes because, and I've already documented them, the reason I want to clear the codes is because I want a fresh start, and I want to make sure that the computer is not going to limit anything so that I can get this thing to act up and basically go into limp mode. Now, like I said, I'm very concerned about these throttle position sensor voltages. They're not changing like they should be when I'm depressing the pedal. But I'm not sure about the computer's strategy, so that's why I'm going to be clearing codes. But it's important to remember, you document all your codes before you do that. All right? Okay. Quick notes before I roll out. I'm in my throttle actuator control menu, and I'm just going to be taking and customizing a list for my test drive. So I want desired throttle position. I'm sorry for the length of the video, guys. Normally I like to keep these short, but today I'm going to try to go in a little more depth for you. Throttle position 1 voltage, throttle position 2 voltage. I'm going to try to grab everything I can that I'm concerned about, that I want to see while I'm on my test drive before I roll out. Where is it? Where is it? Mass airflow. I could look at engine load. I could, but that will be fine. That's all we're going to look at. Sure, let's look at miles per hour. We can look back at our data. So let's go to graph view. Okay, now, right now, my buffer, or my data stream right now is being recorded. I can pause it, and when I'm ready to go on my test drive, I hit this button and it's going to continue recording. Now this is nice because if something happens, you know, so I don't have to keep looking down at this damn scan tool while I'm driving, I can go back and see, you know, the issue when it occurred. So keep that in mind. Safety, obviously, when you're driving. You don't want to be looking down, just like you don't want to be looking at your cell phone while driving. Good way to get in an accident, and you're in a customer's car. So, anyways, yeah, I'm going to go drive this. We're going to get some data recorded on the screen. I'm going to see if I can get this to duplicate. I think it'll happen right away. I could be wrong. And then we'll go from there, all right? Okay, I'm outside of the shop, and you can see that right now we're sitting at a standstill, 7 and 7 on our throttle position. Desired and throttle position match. Those are our voltages on our throttle position sensors. And our mass airflow, again, is reading low. It could be dirty, guys. It could be faulty. I don't know. it's probably a separate issue. It's kind of a combination of the two, but either way, it doesn't matter. Let's take a look as I drive. Well, I'm not going to film this whole thing. It'll just get too lengthy. I will show you once I find the issue, where it occurred and whatnot, if it occurs on this test drive, okay? Doesn't matter. I'm just trying to keep it short and sweet, but I will not try to miss anything in this video. I'm going to do my absolute best to show you guys everything, okay? All right, so that being said, let's get on with it. Test drive's done. Could not get anything to duplicate, but there's something I want to show you guys. Look what this mass airflow is reading. 4.6 grams per second. 4.6 grams per second, guys. This is a 6.2 liter. That is way low. That is way low. Engine's up to temp now. You know, throttle body could be a little dirty. That's kind of my suspicion right now. But just to rule out, this is concerning to me. Let me get the engine coolant temp up. Okay, you can see we're at 208 degrees, 210. So we're up to temp, guys. We're up to temp. The other thing I wanted to look at and I want to show you guys is in there, they'll have these 5-volt reference, 1, 2, 3, 4 PIDs. I always pull them up just to take a quick peek, just to make sure our 5-volt references are there. And yeah, I mean, obviously we have nothing wrong with our 5-volt reference signal. So that's kind of cool that you can do that. Just something to kind of overview and take a quick peek at, keep in the back of your mind. Now, 212 degrees. Let me get the mass airflow back up. 213 degrees on the coolant temp and 4.6 on our mass airflow at idle. What do you think our problem is? I'm thinking a mass airflow sensor issue. That's me. So, let's get this thing in the bay. Actually, before we do that, I'm going to do, just to rule out this throttle body, electronic throttle body being an issue, I'm going to go into actuator tests, and I want to do a throttle sweep. And I'll show you guys how to get there. Okay, on the snap-on, every scan tool is different, but at least on the Verus or any snap-on tool, you're going to see all these menus, right? So you want to go into your functional tests, and you want to find throttle sweep, okay? You click that, and it's going to say this test will perform a TPS sweep. Ignition on, engine off, so let's shut it off, key on, hit continue. And, you know, for you older guys, you obviously know how to do this. But for you younger guys that are getting into this and are confused, this is how you do it. So select continue to proceed with test. Now, what I want to do before I do that is I'm going to pull up the data by going to the custom menu that I want to look at. And it's going to be the same ones I was looking at before. Okay? So let me do that. So basically, I've got the same data up I was looking at when I was in the shop at these throttle position sensors. I've got the 2 voltages up and the throttle position sensor position, or throttle position percentage, and then the tach motor command percentage I wanted to look at, and the throttle the desired throttle position. Now, I'm unable to go beyond 38% on my, you see here, wide open throttle, key on, engine off. 38% is the max they're going to let me do with this thing. Now, I don't know if that's a limitation that they're, you know, it seems odd that I can't go to 100%. And if that's the case and they're limiting me from being able to do that, and I'm talking about GM, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, it'd be nice if I could see the full range of my throttle blade, but nevertheless, you know, if I look at it, now I've got my foot completely off the accelerator pedal. Now, as I slowly press into it, so I'm going to slowly start pressing into it, you can see that both voltages are changing steadily. But they don't let me go beyond 30%, 38%. Why? Why is that? You know, I honestly don't know. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna research this system, and I'm gonna get some more information so I know what I'm working with, and maybe this is all they're gonna give me. Maybe this is all they're gonna allow, and then we'll kind of go from there. I'm also going to check for TSBs because that's important. I know the mass airflow is an issue, but I'm still not sold on this throttle position issue here. So I just want to know, you know, is this the max that they're going to allow me in a test? Because if that's the case, that's ridiculous. I want to see the full range. So let me do that. I'll get you back once I find out more information. All right, guys? Oh, one more thing before I do that. I am going to pull off everything as far as the intake piping and all that and do a quick visual, because before I waste my time, I just want to look at a visual. I want to get a visual of everything, see what it, you know, looks like, and then I will do my research, okay? All right. Look what's acting up. I know, crazy. I just started to pull forward and the little warning came on for the object. There it is. I'm barely moving. There is nothing in front of my vehicle right now. All right, so clearly we have an issue there that needs to be looked at. Separate issue, guys. If we get you know, if the customer wants us to look into this, we will. I just thought that was kind of interesting. Right as I was moving forward here, the signal, the front object detection sensors are throwing this warning. So, and you can see I got nothing in front of my truck. So interesting. Yeah. So, anyways, back on the topic. All right, guys, I've got the intake pipe off for the air intake system. Now, here's our mass airflow. Let's take a peek down in there in that air box, and I want to show you guys. Look at all that debris. You see that? All that stuff there? This mass airflow is coming out. I'm going to look at the wires on it. That's concerning, and it looks like it's got a fairly new air filter in it too, so I want to look at this air box and see how dirty it is, because usually guys will replace them and they won't clean them out properly. Throttle body. Let's see how carboned up that thing is. Oh, yeah. So, before we do anything, guys, that needs to be cleaned. That needs to be cleaned. And we need to recheck some things. But, yeah, so something to keep in mind. Good visual. I've already checked the wiring. Just a quick visual of the harness going into the throttle body. I don't see an issue with it. Same with the mass airflow. So, yeah, I'm going to do some research, but this is going to get cleaned, guys. And so is that before we go any further here. Alright, so I went ahead and I removed the throttle body. That's how I like to clean them. And then that way I can also look at the throttle plate and kind of move it through its motions. Now, besides the fact that it's really dirty, one thing I want to kind of show you guys, and hopefully you can hear this. I'm going to move this throttle blade with my hand gently, and I like to feel for binding or anything out of the ordinary. But if you listen, sorry for the camera here, I don't know if you can hear that squeak, but listen to this. Oh goodness, this is hard to do with one hand. Okay, listen. That right there is concerning. So, and it sounds like it's coming out of the motor itself. So, I could pop these tangs off, these tabs, and take a peek in there, but I think first step's going to be just to clean this thing. I am concerned about this throttle body though. So, anyways. Alright guys, we're done right here. I went ahead and I took apart this cover for the actual throttle actuator control motor, whatever you want to call it. There's the circuit board, of course. You can see the gear sets here now, and I already checked the gears. Everything looks good, but what you can see is I've got my ohm meter on the you know, the two, what am I trying to say? The 2 pins for the actual electronic motor. And we got about 2.7 ohms of resistance, but if you look, and I'm barely moving that, guys, barely moving that armature there's, and you can see the resistance just going all over the map. So sadly, all that's wrong with this throttle body is this motor. You know, there's wear in the brushes or whatever, the contacts, probably in these bushings actually, but it really doesn't matter, guys. Unfortunately, this is going to need a throttle body to fix this. I highly doubt I'm going to be able to get a motor for it, and we all know that. So I just thought that was kind of cool. I didn't have to go too in depth on this one. I'm not worried about the computer controls. Everything is there. This motor is faulty. This electric motor is faulty in this throttle body, so this needs to be replaced. And you know, I'd like to show you guys the other stuff. I think what I'm going to do is make a part 2 to this, just to do the follow-up on the other codes that are in the system. But pretty cool. Faulty throttle body. Again, I didn't check. I'm not going to go through and check the signals, or what am I trying to say? I'm not going to the connector and checking all the inputs and all the, you know, throttle position sensor, because the 2 TP throttle position sensor voltages, because on the scan tool they were there. We had our 5-volt references. Clearly the motor works enough. You know, there's obviously enough from the PCM as far as control goes, because I took it for a test drive. So really no need to go any further than that. We just got a faulty motor, and you know, where these parts are made, we all know that that is a very high possibility. So I appreciate you guys watching. I will make part 2 as I continue on throughout the day. I just don't want this video getting too long. So pretty cool, faulty throttle body on a Chevy, so, or a GM pickup. Anyways, stay tuned for part 2. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.